certain things. Well, in Russia, they will not go to the deputy because they simply don't know who the deputy is and whether there is a deputy at all. Though there is, but they have no name. A friend of mine made a research in Penza asking people whether they know any names of any deputies of whatever level in their constituency or local or national parliament or provincial assembly. Nobody knew any names. And then when she just presented the paper, she completed the paper, just gave us the results of the sociological research, and then asked Anna, and do you know the name of your deputy yourself? And of course she didn't. That leads to a situation when Russians start protesting immediately. Just so it's very easy. And that very much contradicts the image you have here in the West. Because if you read Western newspapers, what you imagine is that this is a society where everything is organized, the structures, it's more or less like in the Soviet Union, and it's a dark authoritarian state. And of course, sometimes there are marshi nesoglastnych, dissenters marches organized by the liberal opposition, but there are only like maybe 200, 300 people coming to these marches because these are the only brave people who dare to protest against this terrible police state. In fact, there are hundreds of people protesting every day, even in Moscow. Just they don't share the ideas of these people who organize the dissenters marches, because dissenters marches are those people who want free market liberal economics, and they want the Yeltsin kind of state back, the same way Stalinists wanted Stalin's state back years ago. But at least during the protests of the Stalinist communists in the early 90s, people remember that they were at least well fed under the Soviet regime. And now these are people who are calling to get back into the 90s, and people think, oh, that's about the time when we were not well fed, which were badly fed. So why should we go back there? Because in every other respect it was exactly the same, but just the salary was less, and in a way the level of repression was higher, actually, under Yeltsin. Because we were shot at under Yeltsin, and under Putin we only get beaten. So why should we support those people calling for democracy? And democracy was the time when they were shooting at us. So that's why these marches outside St. Petersburg, which is a different story, in every other place they get very little support. And of course, the media presents that, oh, these people are the ones who are not afraid of repression. Everybody else is. It's not true. So, but then, so after this first wave of social movements emerging and becoming a prominent and permanent factor of Russian life, a new tendency emerged in the social life, which was the new labor movement. And again, their so-called alternative or free trade unions emerged already in 1989, after the great miners' strike, which was still in the Soviet times. But these unions were, first of all, extremely confused. They were anti-communist. They were oriented to fight the state, very much trying to imitate the model of Polish solidarity. And then, all of a sudden, communist state disappeared, and they started facing the new bosses, the new owners of these privatized enterprises. Their own ideology and their own organization was completely unfit for this new situation. These unions started declining, and they barely existed by the beginning of the 2000s. They were there, they had some members, they even had some structures here and there, but they actually struggled to survive. That was it. But in their mid-2000s, economic situation changed. Economy is growing, and not only it's about oil, it's about manufacturing. Because this is a big market with a lot of oil money, and this market is still somewhat protected. Russia is not a WTO member yet. That means, for example, that Russian automakers industry, or automobile industry, is protected. Russian automakers and they have some protectionist tariffs, which was lobbied by this very same Avtovaz company, which produces probably the worst cars in Europe. And they said that they needed protection to prepare themselves for the market. They've got like 10 years of protectionism already. The cars got really worse than they used to be. Was it bad news or good news? Ironically, it's good news, because while they keep producing their horrible cars, another automakers started using the benefits of a protected market. Who are the companies? What are the companies which are using Russian protectionism? Listen to the names: Ford Motors, General Motors, Toyota, BMW, Renault, Hyundai, Daewoo. These are the ones who came to produce in Russia because it's a protected market. So now you can hardly find a single automobile corporation which is not producing its own brand in Russia. So there are thousands of jobs created in this industry. And actually, the Ladas, the old Soviet cars, they keep losing their share of the market to the Western producers, but not those who produce, say, in Brazil or in Western Europe, but those who are now producing in Russia. The same thing happened to television sets being produced, refrigerators, microwave ovens, which were not produced in Russia because they didn't exist in the Soviet times, and so on. So you can hardly find a device of this sort which is not produced locally. Only for some reason they don't produce mobile phones. I don't know. Maybe because this is more concentrated in Southeast Asia. But they even produce computers, notebooks, which are very strange because all the components are Taiwanese. Not a single component is produced in Russia, but they're assembled in Russia also because it's a protected market. So there are assembly lines where they assemble Taiwanese computers. And there are some rumors that originally Taiwanese actually assemble these computers, and they disassemble them, put them into boxes, and send them to Russia. And then Russians reassemble it. So it's already a box where I have every single component. So just open the box. It's like a game for children, you know. Yeah. Do it yourself. Lego. You know. You can do it at home if you want. So, but anyhow, these are jobs. These are thousands of jobs, actually. So, and not only these are jobs, but these are young workers who didn't have the experience of Soviet paternalistic enterprise, who were shaped by the new corporate culture. And ironically, that corporate culture very soon created preconditions for these people to organize, to become class conscious, to fight for their rights, including some funny things like they sent some workers to study technologies to their enterprises abroad, not to Western Europe, by the way, but to places like Brazil, whatever. I think mostly to Brazil. Okay, they learned, but there they encountered Brazilian trade unionists who also told them how to organize. And so the most charismatic, the most prominent trade union leader of today is Alexei Atmanov in St. Petersburg, in Leningrad province. And he makes it very clear. His mentality, his idea of organizing was shaped by CUT in Brazil. He went to Sao Paulo, he stayed there for some time, returned back, and started organizing a militant union at his enterprise. So, and then there was, already in 2006, there was a wave of strikes in the foreign-owned companies. They started in the automobile sector, and then it moved into food processing and some other industries. And the most famous strike was that of Ford Motors.